Welcome to the ninth and final episode of Countdown to RSAC, because it is Friday, May 3rd, and this big Super Bowl, as Gianna Whitfer says, the Super Bowl of cybersecurity events begins officially on Sunday, May 5th, right? So we get a day off, get the rest of this afternoon, and it's already after our, well, it's almost quitting time for you, if that exists in your world, Nate.
Yeah, right.
And yeah, that's a stretch of the imagination. All right, so but we're there, right? I mean, we are functionally on the eve of awesomeness, and I got to tell you, I am so excited to get down to San Francisco, and to see the people, and to see the colors. It's like I like Gianna's analogy, right? That the Super Bowl, right? Because you go to a live. You go to a live game, and you go into the stadium, and the colors, right, are just overwhelming sometimes. The lights, and I don't know about you. How many shows did you say you've been to?
So I did the math, and this will be the 15th year that I've gone to an RSA. Not in a row. There's a couple that I missed, but it's the 15th year that I've been going.
Oh man. Right. And I think it was Suzanne Gurman, if I'm not mistaken, who also said, like, even after, she's been at 17, even after all this time, you come down the escalator for the first time, and it's like, it just takes your breath away, because it's so intense. I mean, it's just like all there. And no, I don't go to big, like, CES, that kind of thing, but it's still pretty dang big, man. I mean, it fills the whole place.
It does. Yeah. Massive humanity coming down those escalators.
Okay. But now your new game, right? You're not going to have a booth in the big, in the big show. So tell us about a little bit. I haven't properly introduced you. Okay. If anybody's listening and doesn't know Nate Burke by now, please. Okay. He's running Nagomi. He used to run, Axonius. Okay. He's out of stealth. We're going to get to that. Okay. All that good stuff. But Nate, just hit it hard, because I'm pretty sure anybody who's in the audience right now knows you already. So we're going to roll with that. And I'm going to say, what's the plan? What is Nagomi's plan for post-stealth mode at RSA?
Yeah, so we're in the early stage expo, right?
Okay.
And it's 2 days, shortened hours. It's not the same hours as the regular expo hall, but a lot of what goes into this is what you do beforehand, all of the meeting setting, all the stuff you do. Yeah. But to me, what I really love about this, you mentioned, it was just a week ago that we got out of stealth mode, right? So I've been there since January. Started January 2nd. And then since then it was rename the company, rebrand everything, come up with the story, build all the everything, right? Raise funding. We did all of that. And then last week we get out of stealth. And by the way, I still believe that stealth mode is the dumbest idea anyone's ever come up with. I hated it. It was awful. You'd get a salesperson that said, I finally got to talk to someone, and they said, so send me something, show me your website. And then they said, well, talk to me later, because I don't see anything. So I hate stealth mode. I'm happy to be out of it. But now going to RSA, this is really the first thing we're doing as Nagomi. And it's the first thing we're doing where I get to deliver the same pitch 200 times and see where it falls flat, where people don't get it, where people say it sounds like this. And so you learn really fast when you have to do that on your feet. And I've always loved that about RSA, especially when you're early. A little later on, it's more of a machine. Right. But these early days, this is when you're testing it out. You're changing things on the fly. You're really learning about it. And you go from, I'm in stealth and everything's academic. I know my end user, but those are all friendlies. And now this is something organic and in the real world, and it's reality. So I love it.
Awesome. All right. So you really got some street cred here. All right. Because it sounds like, okay, so you're like this general, right? Chief, CXO guy, right? And now you're like, I'm doing it all. So did you actually make the website yourself? Did you like get out and get a, I don't know, whatever package or Wix or something?
No. So I will tell you this. And so I have a good luck charm, and there's an agency out of Florida that I have used. They did the logo and the website for half before Microsoft acquired them. They did the logo and the first website for Axonius. The logo that just happens to be tattooed on my arm. That's another story. And so I kind of think they're a good luck charm. All right. And they did the logo and the website for Axonius. And that's CNP. So cnpagency.com. Love those guys. So 3 in a row.
All right. CNP agency. There you go. Can you name a name? Like who's running that shop over there? Who's your contact?
Yeah. So can I put it in the,
yeah. Throw it down, wherever it'll go. If we can't put it into StreamYard, it won't translate.
Okay. Then I'll leave it in the comments afterward. But Alex Nickdell and Kayla, and I'm going to say her last name, and you're not going to spell it. I will put it in the comments for this episode.
All right. CNP.
I love them. I can't speak highly enough of them.
Perfect. Okay. I love that kind of thing, right? Because we were talking about this a little bit before. Like, how does B2B happen? Right. It's so funny because it's like you think, oh, it's just a big machine, and then there's this other big machine, and they hit each other, and then they do business. No,
and not only that. So even that example right there. How did I find those guys? I found them through an investor. And how did that investor find them? Through one of their portfolio companies. And how did their portfolio company find them? Because they did the website of their college.
Okay.
There's no way that I wouldn't have found them myself. It's all through relationships and someone recommending someone else. That's how B2B is done.
Okay. So I got to tell my own little story. So one of the reasons why I love RSA so much is because so think back to 2018. It's my first RSA. I'm out there and I'm doing booth to booth work. I meet Alina Levashova. Okay. She's a demand gen manager at, I can't remember the name of the company now. She's working for somebody, and we hit it off. We do a little pilot program. It goes fine. Everybody's happy. And she proceeds to refer me and has single-handedly, but from that original, like one-time little thing, I'd say it's probably responsible for about 25% of all the business that I have ever written with Infuse. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm serious. Like that one meeting happened and it's real. And that's how we're doing it, right? We're just like, hey, I know you, I got you. This is kind of where we are. And this is kind of what we're happening. And I trust that you're not going to feed me a line of, you know what, and let's, do good work. Great. Okay. Let's meet up. Cause I don't have time to go out to 50,000 different, vendors to figure out what they are. I did pick that up from your podcast with Carrie, by the way. Saved me time, right? Yeah. That's a big deal. So let's talk about Nagomi. Let's talk about the message for a minute. Lay it on me. Like what is the message? What do you pitch it?
Yeah, I think it's a relatively easy one. Where what we've seen is that something like 80% of breaches happen at companies that had a tool in place that could have prevented it. And it's not through malice. It's not through doing anything wrong. It's just, you have all of these tools, but how do you know that they're set up against the threats that are facing you? Right. And a couple of examples I have are, we had this one law firm in the UK, and the CEO says to the CISO, hey, listen, all these law firms in London are getting hit with this specific type of ransomware. How are we protected against it? Well, you don't just say like, I bought a ransomware button and it's turned off, so like, don't worry about it. Mm-hmm. It's actually a lot more than that. It's email. It's then your endpoint protection. There's so many layers underneath it. And so all we're trying to do is say, let's look at the security tools that you have. Then let's look at the threats that are facing you. And then let's map it to MITRE and say, great, if you change this configuration setting, then you'll reduce your exposure by X percentage. And if you change this in Okta, then you'll have Y different percentage. And basically that's the whole idea is, we're constantly looking at the tools you have and the threats that are evolving, and then giving specific details of here's what you should do with your existing security tools to put yourself in a better position to be protected against those threats. Pretty simple.
Okay. So all of a sudden I'm thinking, okay, how are you pulling that off? Because there's how many different vendors at RSA? Like 700. How many aren't at RSA? Like 10,000. Mm-hmm. Okay. How are you keeping track of all of these various tools and whatnot and what they do and how they're configured?
So we don't have the 700 of them, but we do have the majority that represent things like endpoint protection, some vulnerability management, IAM, email protection, some device management stuff. So like, we're not going after the huge number of every single vendor out there. We're trying to get to the breadth that matters against those threat vectors. So for instance, let's say Black Hat ransomware, and the specific TTPs that group uses are these. Like, we know that through our security research. And we're saying this specific group uses this specific entrance vector. They're going after aerospace and whatever. Like, so we're really trying to target it to your threat profile. Then we're saying, all right, if we've got identity and access, if we've got endpoint protection, VA scanner, like 3 other things, those are really the things that can move the needle for protecting yourself against those threats. So it's not a trying to get after everything in the world play, but what matters most.
Okay. So like an 80-20 kind of deal, right? Where, okay. So you know where a lot of the risk lies, you know, basically what's out there that's trying to mitigate against that and protect against it. And let's optimize your positioning there. Okay. It sounds exciting, man. I mean, it sounds like
fun.
You know, it sounds really cool. So do you have your 2 words, your 2-word, controlling complexity that you're, you know?
I haven't got it to 2 yet. That took a while. It's going to take it. It will take some time. Right now I'm really just at balancing defense and risk.
Okay.
That's not as good as controlling complexity. We'll get there.
All right. So as I was thinking about this morning, because I was trying to come up with my own 2.
Yeah.
Right. Which, you know, is well above my pay grade right now. But the thing I wanted to ask, and this is very specific, very weedy, and I won't spend too much time on it, but how did you decide between control and controlling? Right? Because you could have said control complexity, which would have been like, hey, you can do this, versus controlling, which seems like we're doing this for you. So at least
it's that, but it's also active. It almost seems like if you control it once, then it's a finite state. Whereas it's a continuous thing if you're controlling, right? And so that's really what I wanted to get to, is the idea of if everything's changing always, right? Whether it's just expanding or different, staying on top of it. Because in a lot of things that we do in security, it's, well, I've got an inventory once, aren't I done? But instead it's this is an active ongoing process, and making it in an active tense, I thought was really important for that.
Well, I'm glad I asked, because, you know, I figured you would have thought of that. I figured you thought that through. All right. You don't just get to 2 words by accident, right? It's
really hard to get to that.
It is a process. Okay.
I forget who even said it, that the apologies for the long email. If I had more time, it would have been shorter, right? That kind of thing.
Yeah. I know. I sent a long email to one of my poor clients today, and I'm like, oh, brother, I should have just asked for a meeting. Oh, well. Okay. So where was I? All right. RSA. All right. So you're going to be in the early stage expo. You're not in the big hall. So describe the early stage expo for folks who maybe have not ventured over there. Where does it exist relative to like the rest, like the north and south, and like kind of that middle crazy zone?
Yeah, it's in, I'm glad you even asked that, because I've got it in front of me. It is in, I think it's in South. Let me just bring it up, because I don't want to give the wrong info. So it is Expo and Sponsors, Early Stage Expo. Yes, it is Moscone South, room 205.
Okay.
Yep. So it's up from the main area.
Okay. All right. So I don't know, room 205.
It's room 205, but it's the biggest single room you've ever been in. It's like room 205 of the Boeing factory.
Okay.
It's like huge.
Okay. Because I mean, it seems like I've been to a show or two where it's, you know, at some sort of obscure, you know,
well, it used to be. So when we did Early Stage Expo at Axonius in 20 whatever it was, 18.
Yeah.
The year before Innovation Sandbox, when we did there, it was in the basement of the Marriott. Okay. And it was in the basement of the Marriott, and it had no cell phone service.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So if you found your way to Early Stage Expo, you really wanted to be there.
You wanted to get there. Yeah, you wanted to get there. Okay.
At least we're in the same building now.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So do you have any idea how many other early stagers will be there with you, or what that looks like?
Yeah, I want to say there's 20, something like that. Let's see here.
Okay.
I think that's right. I think it's around 20. Oh no, there's more than that. Early Stage Expo, there are 58.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm definitely going to figure out how to get over there. I got to find room 205, you know?
Oh, you'll find it. There'll be plenty of signs.
Okay. Great. I can't. Now, is it one day? Is it half day?
It's Wednesday. So Tuesday night, they have the Cyber Ops, which is their way of like bringing everyone in to the Early Stage Expo. So that's Tuesday night. And then it's Wednesday, Thursday. So Wednesday, I think it's 9:30 to 4:30, and then Thursday it's like 9:30 to 2:30. So it's really a day and a half of full time, and then the night before. So Tuesday night is the side beer ops.
Gotcha. Now you did say you're running the booth, right? Or what? Or the whatever the kiosk. No, it's not even a kiosk. It's like a table or something.
Yeah, it's a monitor, a mouse, and a keyboard.
Okay, and you're the guy. You don't have you're just there. You're running.
I'll be there most of the time. There's a few of us going, so I'll switch off a couple of times, but I'll be there most of the time.
Okay, all right. Well, man, that's his old school stuff. Like
I know.
I just feel like it just it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get down and get
by the end of the week, you're just ready to drop that flight home. It's time travel. You fall asleep on the runway and you wake up on the other one.
I hear you. Hey, and all right, so take a second here. I want to say hello to Clark Barron. Thank you for showing up and leaving a comment. The comments are what live is all about, because in my humble opinion, live is all about accessibility, right? That so much, as much as we like to trumpet how B2B is about people and relationships and all that, a lot of the marketing, at least the marketing that I experience, tends to kind of hide behind some anonymity. And this is me undoing that. It's me saying, hey, if you want to talk about Infuse, call me. Right here I am. You can leave me some comments or whatever. Right? We're talking about Nagomi. Call Nate. Nate's right here. Right here he is. Go see him in San Francisco in a couple of days and talk to him. He's going to be there. All right, we want to make it accessible. So that's why I really like live, because at a given moment in time today, right now, right at 1:17 p.m. on May the 3rd, we're really here. Really here. So thank you, Peter Wheeler, for showing up. The Peter Wheeler just landed a new job at Attack IQ. He and I are good pals, and I thank you for his support. He dropped me in on a live show that he was doing yesterday. Yeah, that was super fun. It was sort of a surprise with Ashley Dodge. So this is how it's happening right now. Okay. So back to our agenda. Yeah. Where were we? All right. So you got the early stage expo. You're going to own that. You're going to kill it. You're going to just grow this thing like nobody's business. What do the other vendors need to be thinking about, or where do you see the big boys? The bigger the booth, all right, the tougher they are, right, or whatever. What's the opportunity for cybersecurity vendors kind of in general this year at RSAC?
Yeah, so I kind of, like you said, there is a difference between the bigger booths and the smaller ones. I see the smaller ones. The best thing for me is it's testing out the message. It's really trying it out for the first time. You are unknown and you haven't been pitching to people outside of those that you already know or have some connection with, right? So it's way more organic. Whereas the more established companies, I think a lot more of the business is done outside of the trade show floor. Something like 79% of all business at RSA happens outside the show floor. I just made that up, but it sounds true.
It sounds good. I believe
you'd believe it.
I would.
And so it's a lot of times just the setting the meetings beforehand. Of course, it's nice to have people stop by. One of the things that I've seen a lot of and had a lot of success with is you already have your customers coming by the booth because you've got the little giveaway pack just for customers, which were I think last year at Axonius was like the custom Nikes and like something really nice for them. So they got to come to the booth, and a lot of times they're going to bring someone with them. Right. Hey, here's that company I was telling you about, because they're hanging out with their buddies. They'll stop by because they want to get those cool sneakers, but they'll also bring someone by to go check you out. Right. And so it's the meetings beforehand. It's outside the trade show floor. It's bringing your customers by, and hopefully they're bringing a friend. And then always there's the traffic to the booth. And you've got to have a good giveaway. You've got to have something compelling. And I also loved it when, the last couple of years we were doing it at Axonius, where you could really have multiple stations there where you can triage people, right? So right now I have to tell people for early stage expo, we've got to be really good at qualifying, not because we want to be mean to someone that isn't a prospect, but because we got one screen, right? Yeah. If you've got that big booth, you can say, all right, so this is someone that is interested in integration. Great. You should go over to this one right here. So you can have someone running point and not like turning anyone away, but instead saying, all right, you should go talk to this person. Oh, you're a federal customer? Go talk to this guy over here. Oh, I'm sorry, you're a nonprofit? Over this way. That's what's nice about it when you're kind of at a bigger booth is first it's more traffic, it's more ability to show demos, but you can also specialize, right? We could also do, I've got one person over here only showing this product. where this one is showing the whole platform. There's just a lot more you can do when you have more demo stations, but when it's down to the bare one screen, you've got to make decisions, and it's tough.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. Well, and then you were also creating content, right, at Axonius, right?
Sure.
You had that whole upstairs thing going.
Yeah. That was the coolest luxury we ever had, where we had the podcast studio up there, and had people coming by that we were showing live on the screen. That was so much fun.
It was cool. I mean, I saw it in action. So are they going to still be running that you know of, or are you?
No, not the podcast booth. They still have a beautiful booth, but not the podcast studio.
Okay. All right. So do you think anybody's going to get? I don't know. I mean, maybe there's too many questions. It's still too soon. But obviously you've been there. You have a strong opinion, and you've gone from early stage expo to not that, right, to the biggest. I've seen everything, kind of anything in between. So man, I'm excited. I'm excited to watch this story unfold, right, and to see kind of what the uptake is. And CNP agency, their good luck charm, right? They're gonna help you bring it. All right. So let's shift our focus away from vendors for a sec and talk about attendees, right? So what's happening right now? I mean, I know we talked a little bit about buzzwords. We know what they're going to be. AI. Okay, got that. But what are the attendees really worried about? What are they freaking out about? What are they bringing this year?
What do you specifically mean about what are they worried about?
Well, I mean, what is like? Are they worried about getting their budgets funded? Are they getting approval? Are they worried about like over complex offers? Are they worried about like, are these real buzzwords? How do I sort through AI? I mean, those are what comes to mind for me. But I guess I'm just curious. Like,
yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I was gonna initially say, so what are they worried about? Like, definitely COVID, right?
Yeah.
Like that's still a thing. I guess getting pounced on by vendors for badge scans.
Yeah.
There's that. But then for real, like what you're really talking about is, normal stuff. It's getting breached. It's being reactive all the time. It's losing people because they're burning out. It's having a bunch of tools and not knowing if they work. It's, progressing in their careers. It's buying stuff that costs a fortune and then it's impossible to implement, right? It's so hard. And I was just talking with someone the other day, and they're asking the difference between B2B and B2C. And to me, it's like the difference between whether or which. B2C, like I am thirsty. Which one of these drinks am I going to get? Am I going to buy a Liquid Death because I think it's cool? Or am I going to buy, the non-name brand water because I'm just thirsty and I don't care? Whereas B2B, you're saying, all right, is this something I should even spend time on? I'm wondering whether this is worth even exploring, because you know what? It's not that easy, because maybe it's not my budget. Maybe there's a buying committee. Maybe I have to worry about integration with something that's already there. Or maybe my boss actually is working with someone else because they went to college together. And even though I don't like that product, there's just so much to it. Now add to that, you're trying to buy a thing that may or may not keep you from getting breached. So there's just a lot to it. There's a lot of weight on a buying decision on the cybersecurity practitioner side. And so you're not willing to listen to some vendor that's saying, oh yeah, buy my thing, you won't get breached. You've heard that a million times and it doesn't make any sense, and it just doesn't work that way. So you've got to be able to say, I have this initiative. I really have it funded. I know what I want. I've done my research. Now, how do I determine whether what I'm seeing here is real? And even if it is it going to be really difficult? Is it going to take me 6 months to implement? Like, what is the reality of the situation? Now, to me, that's where you have the other side of the coin, which is if you're on the vendor side, put yourself in that person's shoes and make it easy, right? Say what you do and what you don't do. Be clear about expectations and what you can and can't do and what time frame. To me, like if you walk through the expo hall floor and remove the logos, a lot of times you're just like, I don't know what that is. And you get a lot of the same message, which is a huge opportunity for if you have a simple, clear, concise message of what you actually do and what you're actually solving, instead of just, throwing the same buzzwords at everybody.
Okay. Well, let's talk about buzzwords for a minute. Because you did some analysis, or at least you said you did. Maybe you made up.
Yeah. Let me find my note here.
Yeah.
No, before we went on. So I was looking at the overall themes. And so obviously AI, right? From just about every angle. So AI, whether it's protecting data from Gen AI or security enabling Gen AI, securing LLMs, using AI to detect, respond, automate. So AI will be the biggest buzzword on the show floor. And what you're just talking about, here it is. Out of 35 keynotes, 32% have AI in the headline, 40% have AI somewhere in the description. Right? So AI, and there's some more AI if you haven't looked at it. The second is SOC automation. So it seems to be making a huge comeback. It seems like it's a redo of the days of SOAR, right? I'm seeing a lot of vendors that are not shy about saying that they want to replace SOC analysts with tech. And that's something that's, I think it's fairly new and making a comeback. And then the last one is just anything even tangentially related to the election. So disinformation, public policy, any geopolitical policy related issues. So there's a lot when you look at the keynotes that are coming from the government sector. And in fact, a couple of the keynotes, one of them is Homeland Security in the Age of AI with the Secretary of Department of Homeland Security. Another one is AI and Democracy with Bruce Schneier. And then off that topic, the one I can't wait for, Exploring the Universe Quantum Bit by Quantum Bit with experimental physicist Brian Cox. I am very excited to see that. And then the other two, there's a conversation with Jason Sudeikis, and whether or not he will answer in the character of Ted Lasso remains to be seen, but we'll see. And then the closing celebration with Alicia Keys. So those are some of like the big keynotes and the big topics that we'll see at RSA.
Okay. Well, that, I mean, AI is, on everybody's mind, and we are kind of drowning in it. The thing that you did, I'm curious though, the thing that occurred to me, that I wanted to ask about the SOC analyst thing. Do you see, are SOC analysts going to RSA as attendees?
Yeah.
Okay. So are they going to be threatened by that messaging?
I don't think they will love a vendor that says that. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, because there's stuff in the demand gen business too, where there a lot of stuff coming out about the the demise of the SDR, right? And like, but I love SDRs, right? I mean, I practice. I mean, 80-90% of what I do every day is an SDR function, right? And I get that.
Well,
so it's like,
and I think in every case that's kind of a clickbait kind of headline, and here's why, right? It assumes that the SDR and the SOC analyst are going to continue doing exactly what they do forever without any change or innovation. And that is an assumption that is not based on reality, because in reality, any kind of technology that changes the manual stuff that they do allows them to do something more high value, right? I mean, maybe I'm wrong and maybe we'll all be obsolete in 10 years. I don't know. But to me, anytime there's been technology, like just think of marketing, right? Has marketing automation made marketers obsolete? Not that I know of.
Yeah.
Has any kind of automation made anyone obsolete in what we do in B2B and software and cyber? I don't think so. And to me, like, it's very hard for me to reconcile between we're going to replace a SOC analyst and we don't have enough of them. Well, maybe you're going to replace some of the time suck so that they can do things that are why they got into cybersecurity in the first place. Threat hunting and actually spending time investigating things that are more than commodity attacks, right? It's not, to me, it's just not binary, and having messaging that makes it seem so, it seems like a mistake.
Okay. Well, I'm glad I asked about that, because maybe maybe it's an invitation to these vendors who are talking about, hey, replace, you can fire all your SOC analysts. No, you can give them better work.
Well, it's that. And I think the missing part of that too is it assumes you've all got these. Right. I think the biggest upside of anything that is kind of SOC automation is the fact that you probably don't have any of them. If you do, it's probably two people that are spending their free time looking for another job because they're burnt out. Right. So I would focus the message on really kind of complementing what you have or adding to what you don't have. Right. That's really where I would aim it, because it doesn't make sense the other way.
Okay. I'm buying. Speaking of, let's talk about sellers, because I wanted to pick up on what you talked about a little bit in Kerry Gard's cast, live show a month ago, almost to the day, where you're talking a little bit about how the PLG motion, right, basically allows sellers to become enablers, right? We help you buy, which cliche, but
Yep.
nonetheless, right?
Yep.
We're answering these questions that are pretty late stage, right? That you're like ready to go, right?
Yep.
So do you see that kind of as a pervasive reality across, um, you know, sort of emerged 2024 cybersecurity selling models, or is it still old school qualify? Lay it on me a little bit.
It's both, right? I think part of it is just how well known you are as a company, because the whole PLG motion and anything that you're already at a late stage before you're ready to talk to a sales rep assumes that you found it and assumes that you're kind of at a point where you have some degree of ubiquity in the market, but that's not always true, right? And in a lot of cases, that sales rep is at the top of the funnel, helping to reach out to the people they already know, and then bringing back the feedback and really being part of each stage of the funnel. But overall, I think look at the best seller you know, right? I bet that person has a bunch of people they've already sold to. And if they move tomorrow to another company, they'd buy from them again. And it doesn't even really matter what it is, right? Why?
PNP agency.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. But here's why, right? It's first, if it's a relationship thing like we talked about before, but second is you want to feel comfortable buying from someone. And the only way you feel comfortable from buying from someone is you've done it before and you were happy with the outcome. And it wasn't just something where they sold me and then left, right? So to me, where sellers can come in, and sellers are great, especially in cyber, they're the people that really try to understand, can I help you at all? If I can't, okay, maybe I can later, and I'm not going to waste my time because I've got a reputation. I'm not going to live here forever, right? And then now that I said, okay, we've found this thing, I'm going to make sure that this actually works. I know a seller that I've worked with before that he would be going in and troubleshooting things himself. He would like get access to the environment, get his hands dirty, figure it out himself, work with the SEs. Like, he was just relentless in making sure that, hey, it's my reputation on the line. And if I said this is going to work, damn well, right, I'm going to make it work. Right. And so that's the kind of person that you just know you can count on. And so to me, like in cyber, the biggest thing is, and this is for marketers too, and this is kind of my rule overall, is anytime you see someone that says, I'm just a great seller or I'm a great marketer, but I just don't understand cyber, you got a problem. The best ones I've seen are people that really do understand the inner workings of the tools, really do understand the challenges people face, and are either able to build a solution, if it's like solution selling, or build a plan to get to exactly what we said during the POC, or build content that gets to the heart of, this is the challenge I'm facing. Without that, it's really, really tough. So to me, like the better the seller, the better the marketer, the more they know about their target market and the pain they feel. And they're always curious and they're always learning and they're not intimidated by technology.
Awesome. I love that. I mean, it speaks to, so I had Bronwyn Hudson on, so she's at Upticks, community manager over there. And she just got certified, went through SOC 2 training, got all that done, got a scholarship from Women in Cybersecurity and nailed it. Right. So like, there you go. There's proof. Like, she gets it. She's able to get down into the weeds of that. I mean, I started I don't even sell cyber. I sell media to cyber. Right. So, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, how do I talk about what the issues are and understand them in a way that's remotely relevant, and have started my own sort of coursework in that way.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I was just doing a podcast, and it was with this other it was like a couple of other marketers, and this one woman I met, she was at Drift, she was at Alice, and now she's at a company that sells to dentist's office. And I'm like, wait, what? And one thing she said to me completely stuck, and I'm like, wow, all right, this is why you're great at what you do. And she's like, I never thought I'd learn so much about teeth. And so she's this person that is a crazy analytical marketer. She's been at these great companies like, Drift and like these big success stories in our little, corner of LinkedIn. But the one thing that she said that proved to me like she's going to be great no matter where she is I never thought I'd know this much about teeth. But that says everything, right? There's just so much out there. It's so easy to learn even the basics. And I'm not saying everybody needs to go out and get their CISSP. That's not what I mean at all. But like, if you're curious and you've got some time and you've got a browser, You can learn the basics and it's really not that intimidating.
Oh man, I love that word curious. Because I get so many pitch slaps that start with, "Hey Trevor, I'm curious. Could you blah blah blah?" And I Dr. Jim and I, he's one of my BFFs out here, and he and I just go crazy because I'm like, look, I am not here to satiate your curiosity. What I want from you is to say, Trevor, I was curious about this, so I did this research, and here's what I came to. Does this make sense? Do you agree? Right? Nobody ever does that.
Yeah, if you've proven you've done some homework and you've gone beyond the lazy outreach, then people have empathy.
Thank you. Right. So here we are. Right. Like let's have a real conversation about like what's really cooking. So do you think are there good opportunities for young sellers, new sellers, old sellers, pivoting sellers, whatever, to get into cyber now in 2024, or is the ship already sailed, or what do you see there, and marketers for that matter, because there's a lot of people got laid off. So I mean, what's that about? What's happening in the labor market?
Yeah, I mean, to me, anyone trying to get into anything should do exactly what you're doing right now, which is prove that you know what you're talking about. And again, it's not I have to go out and get a CISSP, but say you're a seller wanting to get into cyber, or say that you are a marketer that wants to get into cyber. So show publicly what you've learned. And so I've had a bunch of people that I know that have done this. So someone that I worked with at Axonius that he was selling cars and in the morning was teaching himself cybersecurity, like put himself through a course to do just that. I've seen people that wanted to get into cyber or tech or whatever that started a blog or started a podcast, and they did it in a way. And I was giving someone this advice the other day where they're really early and they're like, I just don't know anything yet. Like, so why don't you create a series of content? And I don't care if it's a blog, a podcast, a video, whatever, which is I'm trying to understand this concept. And here's how I'm going to approach it. Right. So show someone the work you're doing and interview people that know what they're talking about and ask the questions. Like if you put yourself out there and show that you are willing to do the work and then grasp the concept, who's going to say, I'm going to turn you away because you're early in your career? No one's going to do that.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. That's really great advice, because it corroborates some of the other things that I have said previously too, to folks who are looking for work or whatever. And I kind of get a chance to kind of, I don't know, weigh in on younger, early stage careers. And I'm like, do the thing you want to get paid to do, even if you're not getting paid to do it.
Yep.
Right. And it's kind of what you're saying, it's like, hey, I want to be a recruiter.
And it's just demonstrating that you're willing to do the process, because I think one of the hard things for anyone to do, especially when you're understaffed or you're just like completely resource constrained, you don't have time. It's very difficult to say, I'm going to mentor someone that isn't really hungry and isn't urgent about getting to where they want to get to. I'm just not going to do it. And it's not because I don't want to help people. It's just, it's a hell of a lot easier if someone is showing me like, see what I'm already doing. Like I've demonstrated that I just have this. I just need a push in the right direction. I just need a little bit of help here and there versus I've got to teach you from scratch. It's, what was it? Was it Chris Rock that was saying how when he was broke and his car would break down, no one would come help him. But if he started pushing, 100% of the time, someone would come help him. Right. It's just how people are. And I don't know if it's good or bad, but it's true. So anyone that has taken the first couple of steps, you're much more apt to help them than someone that is just saying, please show me everything.
Okay. I get it. I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that to the bank and just sort of savor it for a minute. So let's, as we're going to get ready to wind down here on on what has been a really interesting conversation for me. Talk to me a little bit about the Cybersecurity Marketing Society. Talk to me. How have you been involved with that? Is it like, are you really involved? What's your take?
So I would love to lie to you and say that I've been super involved. I follow every Slack thread. I go to webinars, but that would be a lie right now because I just started at this new company January 2nd. I've done all this stuff. I've just been totally heads down. Okay. But one thing I will say about that is this whole process going from a full global team to where I am now has just made me realize how much I took for granted a team of people that were so great. because right now I'm trying to, chase down the hotel rooms and wrangle with the calendar invites to like all of these things that I never even saw because I had people that were just so good at making everything flow so like seamlessly. So this whole process has just made me like completely humbled and saying, man, I had some great people that could do things that it never looked like there was a single issue. So I've kind of been thrown back in the fire and realized that. So that's my excuse for not being so involved. But I would,
Okay.
I can't tell you how many times I refer people there, whether it's people looking for jobs, looking for mentorship, career advice, or even to say like, did you have this experience with this vendor? We get hit all the time by, event vendors and other
Yeah.
things like that. And they all look the same because they're cold emailing us. And hey, has anybody worked with these guys before? Or is, this price something that seems normal or what? Like just that community to be able to help someone that needs advice, suggestions, just to validate an idea. It's so helpful. And I'm constantly pushing people there because it is that great.
Well, I've just been impressed by the level of growth, right? So I had
Yeah.
Danny Wolf on just on on Wednesday, and we were talking about the number of Cybersecurity Marketing Society members, and it crossed over 3,000. And when I had Gianna Whitver on in like less than a month ago now, it's barely a couple weeks, it was like 2,965. So you've grown by like 1% in like 2 weeks. Woohoo! I can hardly believe it, right? I mean, that's fantastic. That's like real humans, like real people who are networking and engaging in this kind of community. And, I'm thrilled, right? Because I worked really, really hard to sponsor this. Right. And so, and I said this on Wednesday, but say it again, that it's important to support these kinds of communities, even if you're not in them. Right. It's like, hey, I sell to marketers. I sell to cybersecurity marketers in particular.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I'm here to like help that, and not just by trying to get a campaign, but by helping these initiatives get off the ground, helping people find jobs, helping people to support all of that movement. So I'm thrilled that it's growing. I'm thrilled to be a peripheral supporter, get to go to the party, get to eat some Wagyu beef, I can't wait for that because that's just not part of my daily diet. So yeah, it's going to be great. So I trust you'll be there by 5:30 on Sunday and ready to go. Okay, me too. I'm cutting it a little bit close. They've got me staying at the Kabuki, which is apparently a official RSA hotel, but it's in Japantown, so it's not quite, it's a bit of a hike, couple miles off the, so I'll have to figure out those logistics. But any case, here we go. Right. So it's Friday. We're at time. I want to say thank you for coming out. Thank you for being so transparent about, your experience to date. And yeah, I can't wait to see you in person and, have a drink, eat some Wagyu beef and, and wish you the best and a great show and on safe travels. And again, I'll see you in a couple of days. So I'm going to hit my count up timer. You're free to go. I want to say thank you to anybody and everybody who showed up. Clark and Peter, who left us a couple of comments, a little light on the comments this afternoon, but it's Friday. I get it. Everybody's kind of tired and whatnot, but
everybody's got to go pack.
There you go. Go pack. Have a great trip. And I will see you real soon. All right. Thanks, Nate. Have a great one.
Appreciate it.